In this age of experimental cinema, how many A-listers take the audacious stride towards featuring in a movie that tends to reevaluate the depth of their acting? The answer would perhaps be a handful, but we are happy that fewer actors are doing it. Otherwise, imagine our conundrum of having to watch the so-called A-listers perform, putting the audience through the suffering of worrying about the performance slip-ups, thereby ruining a perfectly well-drafted script. I'm not here to contend the credentials of the A-list actors and actresses while alleging that they are anything but a right fitment in the whole scheme of parallel cinema. There is a breed of actors who thrive only in the space of commercial cinema, and some just hinge along in parallel quite comfortably, and there are a few who could bat from either side. And those who have managed to shine beyond the cusp of the A-listers by doing meaningful cinema in this day and age have been backed by a compelling body of work articulating in their favor. But the balance stems from that breed of A-listers who have been known to migrate from the luxuries of commercial cinema to dabble around performing in parallel cinema with resembling ease. Welcome to the Review Diaries, where I view and review the movies and series. Please remember to leave your comments underneath, and remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that I could be inspired to post more such contents in future. During the period of her work where we stood to witness her remarkable transformation from being a star to a wonderful actor, we have seen her take up meatier roles that best exploited her acting talent. Actresses of her age group either still continue to perform in less substantial roles in commercial bioscope or have taken the high road of anonymity. Although commercial success has been elusive, with the last few ventures couldn't really guide the cash cows to run for the green pastures. However, it's a common proffering that the financial outcomes is in no way the right measurement criteria to evaluate the acting worth of an actor. Sherni tries to do the same for Vidya, whose character's name in the movie is incidentally Vidya, once again reprising her real-life name for the third time. She is a forest officer who has been tasked to capture the tigress T12 that has been casting danger on the clueless village dwellers, having become a man-eater. The character of Vidya tries to strike the balance between the conflicts of nature versus man, while also trying to find a calling for herself. The movie registers a tone exhibiting struggle between a straight-laced forest officer and the rest of the department, who has become a mere puppet to its surroundings. Rate the pressure from above, an oft-repeated colloquial used in the bureaucratic system. Vidya is not the typical moral grinding machine that would resort to pick up an open rebellion against a bunch of crooked bureaucratic as well as government denizens who wouldn't shy from indulging in nefarious actions to tackle down the storm that has gathered in the forest. Even as the forest department lays out one action plan after another to catch the tigress alive so that she could be transported to a wildlife sanctuary, innumerable people with petty agendas swarm in, asserting that the summoning of peace in the region is predicated on the killing of wildcats. Knowing very well that she is within the legal right, Vidya continues to espouse available means to save the tigress at any cost. Normally, the protagonist of the story in a paralyzed configuration such as this would suffer from loss of patience, but she keeps her energy intact for the bigger picture. One can see that she keeps herself quiet and calm, at the same time being careful so as to not indulge in bitter squabbling taking place around her. The character of Vidya has different shades which have been used in countless situations in the past depicting the strength of the women. However, the treatment meted out has been vastly different, in the sense that Vidya is constantly trying to understand her role in society, but often suffers from the lack of able response, putting a quest to find the true calling for herself in a state of dormancy every now and then. For example, Exhibit A. She doesn't like working in her current capacity, and that delirium leads her to think about submitting her resignation. But her husband politely misguides her in the name of recession, telling her to stay put, rather than lending an ear that would help her to deconstruct a problem pertaining to her job. Exhibit B. She looks up professionally to a senior man in a department called Nangya, played by Neeraj Kabi, to whom she even proclaimed that his case studies in the forest department are a vital source for pertinent learning paradigm. Yet when she witnesses his work on the same assignment, scathing hurt meets her in the middle of disappointment. Exhibit C. Vidya has reached an important juncture of life where she no longer feels the need to have kids. Her aspirations are seriously affected when the annoying combo of a mother and mother-in-law subject her to an incoherent discussion on motherhood. Her response to an upsetting argument with the mother-in-law about what she would do in old age doesn't sit quite well with her when she explained that she would engage in activities such as reading, writing, gardening in old age. We as the audience feel the helplessness and the pain of Vidya Vincent, who wants to fulfill her desire for once to go back and tell everyone around her about how strongly she feels about her life of emotional servitude. By the way, the story is based on the real-life hunting of the Avni tiger that was allegedly responsible for the killing of 13 people in Maharashtra. The story encompasses several themes, weaving an enchanting fortress around the central theme to satisfy the entertainment quotient. Director Amit Masurkar took almost 4 years after giving us Newton to finally return to tell a very deeply touching story. We believe it is okay to wait around the corner until something best comes along. The wait has indeed been worthwhile. The screenplay and the character execution make the movie a must-watch. And to affirm its standing further, Vidya's portrayal of a fiery Sherni, although belying the sensibilities of typically blazing behaviorism in resembling circumstances, the movie has all the good points talking in its favor. One of the questions that encircle my mind now is whether this should be considered a worthy nomination for Oscars from India this year. Given our track record in submissions, this one definitely piques our interest. However, I think despite the compelling pacing of the story, the juggling of characters, and we're ready to overlook the slightly misguiding facts around the killing of tigers, we should wait until a better one comes along. Even in its own merit, the movie could be considered for homegrown incentives and recognition, but the journey of bagging the Oscars is still a distant reality. Nevertheless, I would give it 4 and 5. Thank you.